For nearly 8 years now, the first generation Nissan LEAF has been an affordable everyday family car to hundreds of thousands of people around the world. First with a 24 kilowatt-hour battery pack and more recently a 30 kilowatt-hour battery pack. Current Nissan LEAFs can travel an EPA-approved 107 miles per charge in the US, that's about 172 kilometers, and when specced with a DC quick charge port, can refill their onboard battery packs from empty to 80% full in about 30 minutes from a compatible DC quick charge station. Yet, as you'll know if you followed electric vehicle development for any length of time, the current generation LEAF is due to be superseded this year by the next generation 2018 Nissan LEAF. Expected to have a longer range of at least double that of the current LEAF and due to debut with some semi-autonomous driving technology, the next generation LEAF will enter the marketplace about the same time as the brand new Tesla Model 3 and as such will need to sell for a similar amount of money to both the Model 3 and the 2017 Chevy Bolt EV. And that means that Nissan is seriously discounting the outgoing LEAF model, working with local dealers and groups across the world to offer some really low price lease deals and financing packages. In some places in the US, for example, that's brought the cost of a new LEAF down to just $13,000 after incentives and group buy discounts. But the question is this: should you buy one or should you hold out for the replacement? Stick around because I'm going to tell you my opinion right next. Hi there, I'm Nikki Gordon-Bloomfield from Transport Evolved, and today I'm going to be talking Nissan LEAF closeout discounts, some of which are bringing down headline prices for Nissan's 5-seat electric hatchback to well below that of a comparable internal combustion engine vehicle. Of course, the reason Nissan is working so hard to offer the LEAF at such a discounted rate is that it wants to clear out dealer inventory of current generation LEAFs ahead of the debut of the next generation model this September. And admittedly, if you're someone who wants the latest and greatest car, you'll probably want to hang around for the next generation LEAF. But if you're just getting into electric cars or you're finding funds a little tight, this outgoing LEAF could be the best deal that you're going to see all year. That doesn't, however, answer the question, should you buy one? And if I'm honest, I don't think anyone but you can answer that question. So instead, I'm going to give you some pointers that should help you make your mind up. First off, while Nissan is offering 24 months of free public charging through its No Charge to Charge program, if you're considering a current model year LEAF, you should ideally have somewhere to park it off street where you can charge it at night. Yes, it's possible to survive with just public charging, but if I'm honest, leaving your house with a full battery every morning is the best option, especially if you're going for a first-gen 30 kilowatt-hour LEAF with a limited range. Second, what are you intending to use the car for? If you're someone who commutes less than about 50 miles per day round trip, then this LEAF is a perfect car for you since 50 miles is about half of its usable range and it gives you plenty of range to do other errands before or after work. If, meanwhile, you're using the car to drive more than 100 miles per day and you don't have time or inclination to stop at DC quick charging stations throughout the day, you probably would be better suited waiting for the next generation LEAF instead. The next thing you need to think about is how you feel about long distance trips by electric car. The next gen LEAF will certainly make trips in excess of 100 miles easier and less stressful, but if you happen to live in an area with good rapid charging infrastructure, and by that I either mean decent reliability or enough redundancy that making a trip isn't too much of a planning nightmare, and you're not frustrated by the thought of stopping every 80 to 100 miles to refill at a DC quick charging station, then you'll probably be just fine with the current generation LEAF. Personally, I find I need a break every 100 miles or so stopping to recharge has become something of a no-brainer for me if I'm honest. But if that thought fills you with dread or you can't possibly find the time to recharge in your busy schedule, you may want to wait for the next generation car. If you've got this far into the video and you're thinking that the first generation LEAF doesn't sound too bad, I agree, it isn't. I've owned both a 2011 and my current LEAF, a 2013 LEAF, and in just over 7 years of Nissan LEAF ownership, there have been very few occasions where I felt frustrated about the car. And they were early adopter frustrations back in 2011, 2012, when the LEAF was brand new and there were some teething problems with the car's telecommunications system. But now, the Leaf is remarkably reliable, and I should note that if you buy a late model first generation Leaf, you'll be getting a car which has almost certainly had all of its kinks worked out over the last 7 years. That versus a brand new model, which may or may not have teething problems. And since every new model that comes to market does have teething problems, that's something you should remember when making your buying decision. But for what it's worth, I don't think I would advocate buying an outgoing Leaf were it not for decent discounts. But if you can get a new 2017 Leaf for more than a third off list price, it's a deal that's just too good to pass unless you really do need a longer distance car. Me? Well, I'm still driving my 2013 Leaf, and yes, I'm hopeful about upgrading to the next generation Leaf at some point in the future, due to the amount of longer distance trips I tend to make up and down the I-5 corridor. But the upgrade, at the moment at least, is one which is an optional rather than an urgent one, so I guess time will tell as to if I do it or if I just stick with my current Leaf. Have you purchased a new first generation Leaf? What did you pay for it? And would you advise people to buy one too or wait for the new Leaf? And if you're considering a new car, what would the price be that would make you buy an outgoing Leaf? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget, as always, to like, comment and subscribe. Tell your friends and family about this show. And if you liked what you saw today, I would be really happy if you would consider helping me to make more shows like this by making a monthly donation through Patreon. I've included a link below, and there's a clickable one, as always, at the end of today's video. I'll be back tomorrow, but until then, thanks for joining me. I'm Nikki Gordon-Bloomfield, and as always, don't forget to keep evolving.